I love living on the Isle of Man. Absolutely love it. Just look, who wouldn't love living around this? It's absolutely beautiful. But if you're thinking about moving to the Isle of Man, you may want to watch this video. It's easy to wax lyrical about how great a place is, but sometimes you need to hear the truth. So especially if you're thinking about moving here, you need to know the truth. So we'll start with the not so important stuff, not so serious stuff, and then we'll move up to what I consider maybe some more of the serious pitfalls of moving to the island. One thing you need to be aware of, definitely, the weather. If you're a fine weather person, the Isle of Man may not be for you. Great in the summer. Spring, yeah, lovely. As you can see, the sun's out today. Feels great, it's lovely. You know, just look at that. What a beautiful view. But yeah, come winter, things change a bit. The storms, the wind, yeah, can be a bit relentless at times. So yeah, if you're the sort of person who doesn't really get on with the wind and the rain, maybe island life isn't for you. We are in the middle of the Irish Sea. We're not, you know, it's not in the middle of the Caribbean. We do get battered with wind quite a bit. So just something to be mindful of, especially if you've only visited the island during the summer months. It's a bit different in the winter, shall we say. But if you're hardened, it's I've always said I'd rather be on a wet, windy Isle of Man than a sunny England, in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. Postal service, next day delivery. If you're one of these people that love the convenience of next day deliveries, you don't plan ahead, you just order on Amazon and get it the next day, or even sometimes the same day, yeah, forget that. That ain't happening. Especially if you're thinking of moving to the island and starting a business, and you know a lot of your products are going to have to be shipped over from the UK. Yeah, even the companies that can do next day over to here are going to charge you a fortune for it. But also you're then dependent on the ferries crossing, and obviously being on an island where our weather, you know, we're dependent on the weather being kind, shall we say. And if the seas are rough and the boats don't sail, we don't get any products to the island. That includes, you know, food and everything else that we're dependent on doesn't come into the island. It's usually, you know, so far since I've lived here, it's been like 2 days of cancellation max, and then things start getting back to normal. But yeah, if you're really dependent on things like next day delivery, the Isle of Man isn't for you. For me, it's not a bugbear, it doesn't bother me at all. But I know some people out there just love the convenience of it. So yeah, it's something to think of. It's not majorly important, it's not life or death, but it's definitely something to consider. Shopping. Predominantly I'm talking about food shop. You will end up spending a little bit more each week on your food shop. Obviously there's a cost to importing everything to the island, and that cost gets passed on. And the other issue being that there is one main supplier, which is Tesco. You've got the Co-op on a smaller scale, and then on an even smaller scale you've got M&S that have a large store in Douglas, but there is only one. So there's a few Co-ops spotted around the island, but generally speaking, most people do their weekly food shop at Tesco that have several stores spotted all over the island. Ramsey, Douglas, Peel, yeah, all over the place. So obviously then that impacts prices as well, because they have nearly a monopoly on the island regarding people doing their weekly food shop. But yeah, be prepared, spend a little bit more on your weekly food bill. Wi-Fi, mobile phone, internet, all that malarkey, everything that we are now depending on like it's running water in today's modern society. Yeah, whatever you pay in the UK, expect to double it or even triple it to get a similar service, especially with regard to broadband. Yeah, if you're thinking about 200, 300 megabyte download speed, yeah, you ain't paying 25, 30 quid for that over here. You're looking more like 70, 80, 90, if not more, to get that sort of service, if you can get that service where you're looking at moving to. There's still a lot of properties that are hooked up to copper. They are rolling out fibre at the moment still, but there's still a long way to go until the island is fully fibre. Yeah, so if you are in a property that is still hooked up to the copper, then you have to have a phone line. You have to then pay phone line rental to get the internet, and I calculated for something like 16 megabit download speed, which is next to nothing. It was going to cost me like £70 a month, and in the UK you're laughing. Yeah, about £70 a month if you're hooked up to copper. A lot of people go down the Starlink route, which is I think about £300 installation, and about between £50 to £70 a month, because you know there's a lot of properties that are in rural areas that aren't even going to be hooked up to copper or let alone fibre. So yeah, that is an option, but obviously it comes with a price. Your mobile phone, again, I'm on the UK contract because it's a lot cheaper than a Manx contract. I get unlimited data on a SIM card for £16 a month. I'll be paying £30 odd a month, or if not more, for a Manx telecom contract. So yeah, but yeah, that's the reality of island life and the internet. It's not great, and it's expensive. So if you're wanting to come over and expecting to get 200-300 megabyte speed for £30 a month, think again. If you'll start looking at running a business area that's dependent on internet, then I'd do some research first to look at the area you're moving to, etc, etc. But yeah, that is the reality of broadband, mobile. Yeah, there's also these black holes of reception on the island that would just dip out. You can't get any reception at all in certain areas, so there's that to think about as well. But yeah, just do your research, look at what the cost of the type of broadband internet you're going to need is going to cost you. Mobile network, mobile coverage, it's definitely worth doing a bit of research into it if you are mobile dependent, if you're internet dependent, for what you need. So yeah, do a bit of research. Healthcare. Obviously healthcare is massively important to most of us. there's 2 hospitals on the island. The main one being Nobles, just outside of Douglas, and a smaller one in the north of the island which deals with minor injuries, and you can go there for blood tests and the like, but it's not open 24 hours and there's no A&E there. Also, the hospitals can't deal with everything that UK hospitals deal with, so there may be occasions where you need to be transported back to the UK for certain treatments, especially critical injury cases. You generally get shipped back to the UK on the air ambulance, etc, etc. So yeah, if you've got a family, it's something to be mindful of. The potential for having to go back to UK. If anything ever arises that you need to go back to the UK for hospital treatment, will you need to take your whole family with you? Have you got support on the island, etc, etc? It's just things to think of. I've had one experience of having to go to the hospital. I found my treatment to be professional. I felt well looked after, well informed. I have no problems, but I've also seen people who have issues, shall we say. But it's the same as being in the UK. People either have really positive experiences with the NHS and NHS and love it, and then you have those that have different experiences and have different opinions. But generally, my care I received, I have no issues. But yeah, there's just little things like the fact, worst case scenario, you may have to travel back to the UK to receive certain care, certain treatments, certain surgeries. Just to be mindful of that. Also, in the umbrella of healthcare comes dental care. There is a waiting list to get a dentist of nearly 6,500 people on the island. There's not enough dentists. If you can afford to go private, you'll probably be okay. But the likes of us who can't afford that, we're a bit stuck. We struggle getting a dentist on the island. So again, if you are coming here with a family and you're not in a financial position to pay private, you have to be mindful. You might struggle to see a dentist. So I'm not trying to put you off, I'm just making you aware. There is an issue with getting on the dentist list on the island. I think that's it. Housing on the Isle of Man, and I'm talking more about the rental market than the buyer's market. Renting on the Isle of Man is slightly different to renting in the UK. The main difference for me is the fact that there is no deposit protection scheme on the Isle of Man. You are literally dependent on the landlord giving you your deposit back and hoping that he's a decent, or she's a decent person and doesn't try and con you out your deposit at the end of your tenancy. Also, the restrictions on rental properties. In the UK, you're used to it saying no pets. You get that over here, no pets. But you also get no kids. And if you're coming over as a family, obviously that's going to be massively important to you. No kids. I've never heard of it before. I've never heard of a rental property in the UK saying no kids. I've literally seen an advert that says close to school and local amenities. You'd think that was okay for children. No, at the bottom of the advert it says, and no children allowed. They're advertising it's close to a school and then refusing to allow children to live there. Makes absolutely perfect sense in their mind. So you've got the no deposit protection and some extra restrictions on certain properties. Not all properties are like that, but there are adverts out there. You can see that it won't just be no pets. There are adverts out there that says no children. And also, there's a lot of competition for the properties that are available. If you join the Facebook groups that are out there around renting on the Isle of Man, you'll see as soon as somebody posts a property to rent, there are people commenting on it within minutes. Is this still available? I'm interested. How can I view the property? Blah 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 blah. Bang 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 bang. Properties fly off the shelf. So you have to be mindful of that. So get on the groups. Start looking at what's available and what's available in your price range. I see a lot of people posting saying, I'm looking for a flat in Douglas and I've got 800. I'm looking for a 2-bed flat in Douglas and I've got £800. Chances are £800 ain't going to get you a 2-bed flat in Douglas. You're looking closer to £1,200. Where I live in Ramsey, £800 would get you a flat, a 2-bed flat. Get you a nice 2-bed flat for 800 quid. But in Douglas, obviously it's the capital. It's going to cost more. Generally speaking, I don't think the cost of renting on the island is that much more expensive than renting back in the UK. If you look at equivalent locations, so if you took a two bedroom flat in Douglas and compared it to a 2-bedroom flat in Brighton, both nice seaside locations, they're going to be similar prices. People just don't seem to understand the comparison. I say it's cheaper to live in Ramsey than it is in Douglas, Peel, etc., etc. It's the same as living in the UK. Depending on the location, depends on how high or low your rent is. But just be mindful, check your budget, look what's available. So yeah, just my advice, it's not quite the same as renting in the UK.